Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back with another video from Geekdom 101. Been putting this off for a while now, don't know why, but I've just thought, let's check it out, because I reckon this is going to be funny. I love it when Geekdom goes on a rant about stuff, because when you think about the grand scale of things, it is a fictional show, Dragon Ball Super, but he goes so serious on it, and I love it. I absolutely love the dedication to it. So this is absurd power scaling in Dragon Ball Super, so I imagine this is going to be him looking at power scalers and being like, how could he possibly think he's that strong, or how could he possibly think he could beat that person? That's ridiculous. I love his take sometimes. Let's see it. Absurd power scaling in Dragon Ball Super, because I love me some power scalers. I love it, and yeah, anyway, let's see how this is. Boom, Geekdom 101. Whoa.
I'm not a power scaler, but power scaling is fun, which is why I bring people on this channel like Set the Programmer, Chuck the Cybercut, MJX TV, and of course Laughing Stock Media. And these guys aren't really like only power scalers. They have a lot of
they do other stuff as well. Yeah,
but I bring them on to discuss that kind of stuff. But I've often wondered sometimes when we do these discussions, like, is there a different angle to look at with this? Is there another way to look at scaling, specifically when it comes to Dragon Ball?
There's always different approaches.
One thing I can tell you is that the more Dragon Ball progressed as Toriyama was writing it, especially around the Buu saga, is where the power scaling got wonky, and that's where most of the debates take place. And with Dragon Ball Super and the newer stuff, it gets even more wonky.
Because everything gets ridiculously over the top of the levels and stuff, yeah.
Back to discuss the weird and strange power scaling in Dragon Ball. Is it too much? Are we highballing too much? Are we lowballing too much?
Well, you're in a position where people are like galaxy universal level.
We discuss that and more on this video. In the Dragon Ball fandom, when it comes to power scaling and power levels, and things used to be a lot simpler.
Oh yes, and a lot of debunk videos as well. I love it.
Understanding Dragon Ball's power and the characters in it, but when it comes to Dragon Ball Super,
it's ridiculous.
And not even Super, even before Super, even before Battle of Gods, I would say in the Buu saga, maybe even the Paikuhan filler arc in the anime. But taking that aside, I would say the Buu saga really started kind of the major power debates that have gone on for years.
Oh, because of the random appearances of Super Saiyan 3 and stuff. Yeah.
Ultimate Gohan, Vegeta. These debates have gone on forever, right? Which Majin Buu is the strongest? How many videos have people done on that?
Buuhan, yeah.
But I want to discuss sort of the inconsistencies of Dragon Ball scaling and kind of provide an alternate perspective, a different point of view about some of the statements in the series that have been a bit contradictory. You know, the last time I brought Laughing Stock Media on, we did a video discussing Frieza's crazy power leap, and that still holds up. Now, I want to correct something.
It was a ridiculous leap in power, that
video. I said that Beerus said that Goku couldn't beat Frieza. That was only in the anime version. Super Jaiyan hit me up and told me, no, it's in the movie version too, which I had completely forgotten about, so my bad on that. But that made me wonder, though, are we highballing these characters too much? Is that really what's going on, or is it just inconsistent writing? And one thing I want to kind of make clear to everybody,
right, I want to say inconsistent writing,
when it comes to Dragon Ball Super, Toriyama's only sending them very, very limited notes.
Yeah, he's not actually writing it.
Explicit details.
He's just,
and so
I want this character to do
and
this.
Toyotaro take what he gives them and turns it into the manga and the anime, and because of that, you have not only inconsistencies between the manga and anime, but also within themselves. Like,
they can do different feats with different levels and stuff in the manga and the anime. It's not exactly the same.
So we're going to discuss a few of these here on this video. Please,
but totally not. Mark's done a really good video on like the inconsistency between the manga and the anime.
In front of a mirror, Mike from Laughing Stock Media. How's it going?
Hey guys, it's Mike here from Laughing Stock Media.
Yo.
That's the second time, let's not say it again.
That's the third time actually, so you're about to come to a mirror.
Candyman.
Yes, indeed. Well, you know what? I'm glad that for the remake, the original actor's getting a payday for it, so I'm very happy about that. Yeah, he'll be there. So let's talk about Dragon Ball power scaling. Now, some of the points you brought up in the past, you know, that sometimes people do highball these characters, and, you know, we've all kind of been guilty of it. You, me, the other scalers in the fandom. I don't consider myself a scaler, but I love talking with you guys. Like, I love doing videos with Seth,
dipping your toe in a little bit.
But to me, like, again, the Buu saga had some questionable stuff, but Super and really Battle of Gods took things to a whole new level, I feel, when it comes to confusing people. Because we also have, like,
Beerus and fighting Goku and saying that them just bumping fists is shaking the universe.
Then I think the big one, in my opinion, that we can go all the way back to is when Beerus says, he
Frieza,
So why would Beerus say that? Now, in my opinion, Mike, I feel like he just was mistaken, because Beerus is not this all-knowing guy. Whis might be, but Beerus has definitely made mistakes in his past. But so he just screwed up. But then you have
I can understand Beerus
like,
saying things that are out of context or not right.
That he thinks that Broly's the strongest guy he ever fought, but if you analyze the data, Jiren is theoretically stronger than Broly. So is it really true, since Super Broly takes place after the Tournament of Power? There's all kinds of inconsistencies, Mike, and I feel like the one that really set the bar high is the Dragon Ball Super version of Goku versus Beerus Super Saiyan God, because when they said that they were cracking the fabric of the universe,
everything's getting destroyed from them just punching each other.
I feel really changed things, because that line was not in the movie, but because of that feat, every time I've done a video with Chuck or MJ or Seth, we always go back to that moment.
Yeah, because it's like he's got stronger, so surely
it's a really big one,
doing more as he's progressing.
They expand upon a lot of what happened during that particular arc in the Dragon Ball Super anime version, but they expanded upon the feats. One of the big things about Dragon Ball Z that's made it kind of hard to scale over the years is the fact that Dragon Ball and Z typically don't really have that many feats to go on.
No.
It's not like in DC or Marvel, where characters are flying around destroying shadow moons and
planets and galaxies and things,
the entire multiverse, all this absurd stuff.
It's very simple in Dragon Ball, and I like that.
It's usually very comparative, so usually if this person beats that person, we know that by extension that person can do this, because another character dating back to this time did that. But in Dragon Ball Super's Battle of Gods, Goku and Beerus punch each other so hard that because their punches aren't in perfect sync, the shockwaves expand outward from them
and just shake everything.
So damaging over the course of their expansion.
That's them just punching each other.
The normal universe, but the entire
so then scale from there. It's ridiculous.
Universe, which is the universe, heaven, the other world.
Right.
Also, Supreme Kai's planet.
Yeah, the Kaioshin realm.
Yeah, exactly. And the only thing that's actually comparable to that in the Dragon Ball Z anime was when we saw Vegeta versus Bootanks, and Bootanks freaks out,
screams,
filler, and he screams so loud that he starts to
that wasn't
shatter
in the manga.
The boundaries
again, a little bit of inconsistency there.
Possibly cause everything to collapse in, but this is like a whole different level.
Remember, Gotenks and Boo did that earlier, and that was in the manga, so there is a precedent for that. They were able to
he did tear open the hole in the time chamber, didn't he?
And the regular mortal world. Now, I want to tell everybody, I did do a video with Seth, a very detailed video about suppression. I will leave a link to that at the end of this video, because everyone needs to check that video out. This all goes back to Frieza. We saw First Form Frieza in the Bardock special. First Form Frieza destroyed an entire planet. And to me, when you have stuff like, Piccolo being able to beat Second Form Frieza, that means that Piccolo's a planet buster.
Yeah, straight away. Yeah.
Blow up the moon. So the scale has always kind of gone pretty damn high. Even
it has to. It's the power creep thing within Shonen.
Battle of Gods, the Super version, caused a lot of problems. And one thing I want to reiterate is that the movie version was written by Yusuke Watanabe with alterations by Toriyama. The TV version had Toei going in there and making all kinds of changes. Same thing with Resurrection F. Now, with Resurrection F, I feel like they made a lot of things worse, but one thing they did improve upon is that ridiculous line that Frieza had in Resurrection F.
Yeah, if I train in earnest for 4 months, I'll be able to reach a power level of 1.3 million.
Oh, God.
Which is really bad, folks, because in case you forgot, Frieza on Namek was at 1 million in his second form. So by his fourth form, he was already hundreds of times more powerful than that. So for him to even consider 1.3 million a goal, dude, that's like saying,
it's hardly anything.
Weight, and then saying, if I try hard, I can lose 2 pounds. That's pretty much what you and I
that's
do a little
dumb.
bit more of. But the point I'm trying to make is,
that's brilliant.
That, and Toriyama wrote that, so I feel like Toriyama.
But he's even done power scaling data books during that time as well. So why?
Yeah, and honestly, when it comes to Toriyama and numbers, he also gave us an interesting number that was completely disregarded by Resurrection F as well, where he says the whole scale between Super Saiyan God Goku, Beerus, and Whis basically just one movie before Resurrection F, we were told that Beerus used about 70% of his power, but then the next movie, Goku is way more powerful, he has a brand new form that's even stronger than God, and yet he's still weaker than Beerus, and so is Frieza, who was actually stronger temporarily than Goku was, so...
Right. Which means that leap must not have been that high, but
the
problem is, they make it seem like it was that high, you know what I mean? Because Goku never goes back to using God again for several arcs.
Until like the Tournament of Power.
It's a whole different animal, dude. Whenever there's a power scale debate, I try to look at it like, dude, I don't blame anybody, unless you say something totally outlandish and dumb. I don't blame anybody for feeling a certain way about things because the series sends us
inconsistent,
mixed signals, bro. It's like dating when you're in high school and the girls send you mixed signals, dude. Like, that's what I feel like with Dragon Ball, you know? I mean, look at what they did with, like, people like 17 and Krillin. People are still asking about
why was Krillin able to
fight Blue Goku?
when he did the Kamehameha, and why is 17 all of a sudden able to tank everything?
Why wouldn't he just use his base form? There's a lot of weird
even when Goku fought Krillin when he was in his base form, like, it shows you just how big some of the boosts are in that arc, because Krillin fights Goku, and Krillin goes to push him with a blast, and Goku can't even get out of Krillin's blast without going Super Saiyan. But as far as we know, Super Saiyan Goku is way more powerful at the point that he fights Krillin, even suppressed, than he would have been as, like, Super Saiyan God. And if he was stronger than Krillin in just his base form, he would have just deflected in his base form. So it's almost like, are you trying to tell me that Krillin just with some offspring training somehow got stronger than Super Saiyan God?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Dude, it's mind-blowing. Not just that. I mean, let's take it back a little bit more. Universe 6 arc, I'll never forget when we saw Goku going back to using the yellow Super Saiyan. I don't know if you remember how confusing that was, because many of us had theorized at the time that there was no need for him to ever go back to that, because when you tap into God Ki, there's no point in ever going back. You know, you use God.
It's on top of Super Saiyan, isn't it? It's like, it's the God
version of God
using Super Saiyan.
Many of us thought back then. Now, I'm not sure if I think this now. I don't think I do. But back in those days, we thought that Goku and Vegeta bust out the yellow-haired forms, and I'm like, why? I don't understand this. I mean, why don't you just go blue and just knock him out of the ring? Like, it was just very, very strange, and I wish that somebody would actually interview Toriyama
and
himself
ask him why.
But I don't think he cares, dude,
nah.
honestly. Now, are there any other big power scaling inconsistencies? I mean, we look at the entire Goku Black arc. Based on statements from V-Jump, plus, I remember you got into hot debates about this a couple years ago.
Yes.
Dude, and it's not your fault. You know, there's V-Jump, there's the manga and the anime, which are completely different. I mean, let's not forget that in the Dragon Ball Super manga, we have Super Saiyan Blue Goku figuring out how to master his power, going toe-to-toe with Merz Zamasu after Vegeta just did it. So they're telling us that Goku was able to get close to Vegeta.
That's weird. That is weird. That is weird.
That bothers me.
I did not realize that happened.
In terms of, like, logical consistency, because the anime especially, I feel like, you know, in some ways the manga can be a little more consistent with some of the scaling, but like you said, that was a big crazy moment. Plus,
that is not at all.
Uses Hakai, even though at no point in the manga does he ever actually see Beerus use the move. But then there's, like, you know, in the anime, like, for example, there's, you know, Goku Black can somehow tank attacks and actually hurt Blue Vegeta.
Yeah.
But then even after Goku Black goes Rose,
Ooh.
somehow Trunks, as the Super Saiyan 2, before he even gets Rage, can block his attacks that are intended for Blue Goku.
Yeah, that
kick him into
doesn't
walls and
make
stuff.
sense.
Yeah, we're supposed to believe that Super Saiyan 2 Trunks, who didn't even train with the gods,
is as strong as Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta.
Goku and Vegeta before Rose. When he actually went into Rose, I remember thinking, oh, they're screwed now.
Yeah.
Because even though Blue and Rose have an unquantifiable multiplier, we don't know what it is, we're not going to speculate on it.
Yeah, please don't.
In my head, I'm like, well, based on Goku's base and how powerful he got when he went to Blue in previous battles, you know, in the previous arcs, this Rose should one-shot all of them. And it's like an even fight. It was really weird. And the point I'm trying to make is power scaling, dude. We've tried to make sense of it. I've had, like I've said in the past, you and Seth and Chuck, we've always come up with these explanations for it. Some of them a little bit.
But as the show keeps going on, it keeps getting harder and harder to actually scale it.
But there are just a lot of really strange things
feel like a lot of times it does involve the transformations, because sometimes, like, I'll watch Dragon Ball Super, and I'm almost like, does Toei understand how transformations work? Because there's so many scenes where, like, Goku and Vegeta take attacks in their base forms that should realistically just instantly vaporize them.
Yeah, they should be
there.
there.
When you transform, your durability also goes up. But then you have, like, a scene where Goku and Vegeta get punched by Merge Zamasu after they defuse and they're in their base forms, and they don't instantly, like, de-atomize, you know?
Yeah, they're just...
Or the scene where, like, Goku was pushing back the sphere, the combined energy sphere from him and Beerus, you know, like, before the punch even happens, you know? So, I feel like a lot of times it really comes down, in Dragon Ball Super at least, and Super Saiyan Blue is a great example, because at first we're told, oh, if they transform into Super Saiyan Blue, just the transformation itself uses up a gigantic amount of their stamina, and it dropped Vegeta to 1/10 of his power. But then in the Goku Black arc, they're going in and out of the form constantly with no real repercussions, so...
Yeah, no, you're right. That's a great point. That's a great point. And not just now, you bring up another one real quick. I saw a lot of fans, and I want to just say this. If you are a power scaler, you got to take it easy on some of these people, because...
Yeah, don't get mad at people.
You're right or whatever, the writers are making it hard for all of us, including you. For example, when Goku and Vegeta were fighting Jiren, we have just seen Jiren get built up to tank everything Goku was able to hit him with in episode, 109 and 110. And just a few minutes later, all of a sudden, they're landing blows on Jiren, which was so strange. And I had so many people hit me up and say, how does it make sense? Did Jiren get weaker? And all that makes sense to me is that Jiren was getting more and more tired as the arc went on.
Yeah, quite possibly.
But then he go toe-to-toe with
Ultra Instincts, then he gets stronger.
Very, very strange. It's just very... Oh, and again, I want to reiterate this. Dragon Ball Super has a multitude of different writers, and that's the problem. Is
right,
that,
they haven't got that one person just like keeping it in one line.
He came up with the story himself. Now you've got Toriyama sending very vague notes to the writers, and every writer is taking them and interpreting them differently.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing at the end of the day. A lot of us do power scaling just for fun because, it's fun to try and see, how strong are these characters at this point? But the thing is that everything is so all over the place, it's so open to interpretation, especially at this point, that I feel like, we can't always take it super seriously and want to, like, go after people because they have so completely different mindsets from us as to how we scale this, because, at the end of the day, we all have the same information, and, from time to time we might miss out on certain things or make an assessment that isn't necessarily realistic, but the thing is,
realistic.
It really comes down to the writers and who's plotting out the series themselves, because if they made this stuff super clear from the beginning, like a lot of other series do, then we wouldn't have all this confusion.
Yeah, there would be so many debates and debunking and arguments.
Would either be a matter of, like, quality, or it would just be, like, very minor things.
And people do often bring up plot armor when it comes to debunking scalers.
Yeah.
And the reality is, plot armor is a very real thing. I mean, we see it in all forms of fiction. We see it. I mean, dude, don't even get me started on Rise of Skywalker, bro. Palpatine was able to lift an entire armada.
Actually, I'm not bothered about spoilers. I didn't care about that movie. I don't want to see it.
He couldn't even beat a scavenger. Don't even get me started.
She makes the X-Man symbol.
She does, and, like, why didn't he just drop a Death Star on her? Like, or, I'm sorry, a Star Destroyer on her. Like, why didn't he just drop a Star Destroyer on her? Like, it's mind-blowing to me how he could be so powerful at the beginning of the movie, and yet, this is something that goes on, Plot armor is a thing. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's just not well-thought-out writing. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Power scaling in Dragon Ball is very confusing, but...
Now. It is now.
if you're going to debate somebody, just at least, do it in a nice way. Please don't be a prick to them. Like, I know that people in the fandom tend to do that sometimes, and we get kind of emotional and passionate about things. Just, be cool and understand that they're not making it easy for anybody to understand.
Yeah, but then you do have people like Seth that get into debates with people and completely shut them down on their opinion on how strong a character is. It's like...
writing things that can probably be explained.
Because their life is scaling these characters, so they have to defend their, like, work.
That's how it is when it comes to Dragon Ball Super. So thank you, Mike, for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it a lot.
We'll talk to you soon.
That was nerdy. Love it. So it wasn't quite what I thought. I thought it was going to be him like going over how people have scaled Dragon Ball, when in reality it is the absurdity of the show itself. So that was cool. But yeah, there are random moments that just make you think later on, like, how the hell does that character possibly do that when we've already been told that, like, they shouldn't be able to. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos, and I'll see you guys. See you guys next time.